This is finally it. Since Christmas, we have been hearing story after story of the movement building up to Jesus' ministry. The visit of the wise men, the fleeing to Egypt, the baptism, the calling of the disciples, and then another week of calling yet more disciples, all preparing for this moment, this story that will escalate Jesus' fame and ministry all throughout the region. So the story goes, Jesus and his disciples arrive at the synagogue on the Sabbath. There he begins teaching to anyone whom he encounters. The crowds begin to press in around him. They're amazed. They're calling his teaching different. They say he teaches with authority, but not like the scribes' authority. There's something different. It's like it's God's authority. As the people grow, a man in the crowd cries out, "I know who you are, the Holy One of God. What have you to do with us? Have you come to destroy us?" Now in this story, I recognize that each of us hold a wide variety of beliefs around demons or possessions. Maybe you believe deeply in a vivid spiritual realm. Maybe you have no patience for such stories. Maybe you, like Thomas Jefferson, prefer to tear out such supernatural pages of Scripture. Maybe you fall somewhere in between. But bear with me, because make no mistake, this story is not just some paranormal piece of fiction. This story of Jesus is indeed speaking to a deep truth about possessions and demons, how they are real, how you can encounter them anywhere, in the grocery, at work, in our homes, even in our places of worship. You see, Jesus finds this one in the synagogue on the Sabbath, church on Sunday. Have you ever experienced one? I'm sure you have. Have you ever been possessed yourself? Have you ever had a moment when you were not fully present in your own life, whether anger had taken over, or anxiety, or depression, or fear, something else, maybe addiction, had taken over? Have you ever been held captive? In moments like these, you are possessed, if you will, by something you wish would be expelled from your body. What have you to do with us? That's what the unclean spirit says to Jesus. What have you to do with us? It's scary when we are held captive, when we lose power of our body, our mind, our emotions, when we act through rage and fear or compulsion and obsession. We feel lost. We feel out of control. That is a form of possession. In this story, Jesus turns to the man and says to the unclean spirit, "Be silent and come out of him." And it does. The man convulses and screams, and in his agony, the spirit leaves and the man is once again free. I find it so interesting that the first thing Jesus does in his earthly ministry, after he's been baptized, after he's gathered his gang of misfit disciples, the first thing Jesus does in the Gospel of Mark is an act of saving a man from himself, from the demons living deep inside him, seeking to destroy him from within. In AA, the first step of an alcoholic is an admonition that one is powerless over alcohol and that their life has become unmanageable. The second step is that only a power greater than oneself can restore a person to sanity. I think this is true for more than just alcohol for alcoholics, but indeed the various demons that possess our body and mind, and Jesus knew it. So before he could do any ministry affecting change in society, he had to show us how to expel the demons from within. So often we overlook our own flaws, our own demons, and instead use an effort to try to fix things outside of ourselves. We become accustomed to blaming others for our problems or obsessions or faults. And when we do that, we become a prisoner in our own mind. Like the man with unclean spirits, we become possessed, we become powerless, and our life becomes unmanageable. What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Well, Jesus came to set the prisoner free. He came to remind us that we don't need to be beholden to the demons that seek their way into our lives. He came to intercede, to expel, to liberate us and enlighten the darkest corners of our world. Now, I am not naive to think that the notion of Jesus' name fixes all the world's problems, but what I am saying is that we need God's help. In our baptismal vows, we are asked a series of questions of how we are to be faithful in the life of discipleship, on how we are to resist evil, how we are to do good to one another, how we are to respect the dignity of every human being. And in response, we don't just say, yeah, I'll do it. We say, I will with God's help. I will with God's help. We are not alone in the demons we face. We are not alone as we struggle through the difficult obsessions, fears, anxieties, or depressions that beset us. Don't ever think that you must face your addiction alone. Our good news for today is that Jesus comes to set the captive free, to liberate us from ourselves, to be a companion of power that guides us in His acceptance, His love, and His grace. I love you. God bless you. And goodbye for now.